Everybody, hello. Welcome to another episode of Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. We have a very special guest. We have Hunter Dobbins, Red Sox prospect. Hunter, how you doing, my friend? Hello.
Doing pretty good. Happy to be on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. I got to ask this right off the bat. Did you get an at-bat here today? What do they got, like 25 hits or something like that going on today? Or 18 runs or whatever it is? You catching that?
Yeah, they put on a show. Man, I think when a few of us headed inside, we'd already hit like 4 home runs, and I think we were up like 12-1 or something like that, 12-2.
Man.
But yeah, the offense was having a field day.
It reminds me, I know it's just spring training, not getting ahead of ourselves, but it brings me back to 2003 when the Red Sox put up like 25 runs on the Marlins. It's always the Marlins that get the drubbing of all those runs. But yeah, spring training. We're off to a pretty fun start this year. It seems like there's just good vibes going on in camp right now. What would you say to that? How are the vibes feeling on your end?
They're great. I mean, the guys like Crochet, Bueller, Giolito, all the way down to, guys who are in their first camp like me. We've all mixed really well. We're all having a really good time learning from each other. Definitely tell like the end season, the team feel or the team bond is going to be really strong. And I think that's going to carry it all the way from Boston down to the guys in Worcester. Like we're going to be pretty much one big close group, which should make for a fun year.
Yeah, that's the sense that I'm getting. The media, they love to talk about like, oh, who's playing where, the position battles and whatnot. But I don't know, man. The sense that I'm getting, it's just a good group of guys that want to go out there, work hard, and win. That's really the sense that I'm getting. But with you personally, I just want to kind of start things off. Go back, a few years. Texas Tech. You're pitching great over there. Ended up getting Tommy John, unfortunately. But, how have the last few years been for you? Looking back on that injury, that surgery, how are you feeling, today? How has everything been going over the last few years with you?
Going well. Like you said, had TJ right before I was drafted in 21. I think when I was drafted, I was like 4 to 5 months into my rehab. Obviously, the Red Sox medical staff is top notch. It's the best of the best. So we got to rehab with them, get bigger, stronger, mature a little bit. Yep. Went to Salem. Was more of a test run. I don't really feel like I pitched there, competed. Yeah. It was more of a, it's healthy, it's holding together. Let's roll into next year. 23. Handful of starts in Greenville, rest of the year up in Portland. Had a really solid year. Felt like I was starting to be kind of form into myself. It was one of those. It was still, I was learning how to handle a long professional season. I feel like last year was really the first year where I just kind of dove full into I'm competing, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I know who I am. Was blessed with a really strong, healthy year, put up some good numbers. And this year, rolling into it, we've tweaked a couple things. Started throwing a couple pitches towards the end of last year. Those pitches have taken a massive step forward this spring training. Throwing harder, gotten bigger, and looking forward to seeing what this season brings.
Yeah, for sure. And last year, you added some pitches in there. You got a splinker going. You started working in a bit of a cutter as well. How's that been going with the development side of those pitches?
Good. So have the sweeper, which is my big, obviously the big slider.
Yeah.
And then I'm throwing kind of a shorter, harder slider at about 90 miles an hour. That has become a big whiff pitch for me. Mm-hmm. I also throw it early in counts to steal strikes. I'd say the biggest pitch that's taken a huge step forward is the splinker. Yep. My last 2 outings, they've been averaging about 93, 94 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
With still a good splitter movement. So I think those are going to be really huge. And then fastball, last outing average was like 97. I was hitting 98 pretty consistently. So, I mean, those are the big three focuses are the slider, splinter, fastball. And the sweeper's gotten a lot better too. So, I mean, that's going to be kind of a big strikeout pitch for me this year, just kind of working on landing it.
Yeah, I love all these new names. I've been watching baseball now for as long as I can remember. You know, you got the sweeper now, you got the splinker now. It's like, well, what's going to be the next pitch that people come up with? But I wanted to ask, you know, what was the thought process going back? You know, when you started adding in some more pitches to your repertoire, what was the thought process with that? Was that something that you wanted to do? Was that something the Red Sox approached you with, or was that like a collaborative kind of a thought?
It was, I think I initiated it. The Splinker story is actually kind of funny because I was messing with our pitching coach in Double A, Sean. And before I'm literally warming up before one of my starts, I say, hey, I'm going to throw sinkers today. And I threw one and it was absolutely terrible. It was like, I was just messing with him, having some fun, staying loose. And he goes, I guess he saw something on the numbers. He goes, hey, actually try this real quick. And we grabbed the splinker grip and I threw it and it was good movement, firm. And Kyle Teal actually just like, he looked at me, he goes, we're throwing that today. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And next thing I know, front office loved it. It was a strikeout pitch for me almost instantly. And next thing I know, they're like, hey, we need to work on this in bullpens. This is going to be a weapon. Let's go with it.
Yeah, was that something over the off season, like you were pretty dialed into, you would say?
I would say so. It's a pretty natural pitch. Actually, like once we found the right grip for it, I just throw it like a fastball. And so it's been more of just finding my aim point, my starting point with it and going from there. But yeah, I mean, this offseason was spent a lot on that and my harder slider.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that you started to notice a little bit last year. What was the increased velo, right? Seeing the stuff go up a bit of a notch. You know, going into, I want to actually ask this before we start getting into, you know, this spring and 2025. You know, I'm a big stat guy. Like I love, you know, Baseball Reference, Fangraphs, StatCast, all of that. One of my favorite stats from last year was actually your home run per nine rate, 0.19 home runs per nine, which was, I believe, the third lowest in all of baseball, whether that's Major League Baseball or minor league baseball. I got to ask you, is that something that you think about, like you take pride in, or is that something where you just go about your business and then you take a look at that number later on, you're like, oh, wow, I've only given up 2 home runs this year?
More so the second one. You know, I'm a big believer if you start focusing on something like that, you're going to naturally end up giving up more. My whole pitching philosophy is I know I'm never going to be the big strikeout guy. I'm never going to carry a 12 to 14 K per nine. It's like Crochet's a big strikeout guy. That guy gets more whiffs than somebody or anybody I've ever seen. But I'm a guy that's like, I'm not trying to miss bats. I'm trying to miss barrels. I want the soft contact. I want to break some bats. I want just collect as many outs as fast as I can. Cause I pride myself in being the guy that you're going to look up and I might not have the most strikeouts, but I'm still going to be standing out there in the 6th, 7th inning, with pitches to work with. Good.
No, I was just going to add there, you know, it's funny how, you know, when it comes to pitching, you know, really everywhere in baseball, it's been such an analytical approach with everything. And especially on the pitching side of things, I feel like over the last couple of years, maybe we've started to see a bit more of a slight trend back to actually focusing on just pitching, right? Just the art of pitching. You know, yes, stuff, velo, that's a big thing. But would you say pitchers are starting to, you know, think back to like, you know, how Greg Maddux worked, where, you know, this is a guy, he wasn't Pedro Martinez by any means. You know, would you say maybe we're starting to trend back a little bit towards those ways?
I would say so. I think the last couple of years we've seen starters go fewer innings. And I know a lot of guys, I've talked to a lot of guys that, you know, as a starter, you pride yourself in being the workhorse. You pride yourself in being the guy that is still out there in the sixth inning, because nobody wants to be the starting pitcher who goes 4, maybe 5 innings, then your day's done. So I think it's more of a starting pitchers are starting to shift back to how can I collect outs? How can I use my, higher velo, better movement pitches to be done with an at bat in 3 pitches or less? That's one of my big focuses in game is how can I end this at bat in 3 pitches or less? Whether that's, out, strikeout, hit, whatever it is, I don't want to take you more than 3 pitches.
Yeah. And especially over the last couple of years, we've been seeing just such an uptick when it comes to, elbow problems, like Tommy John's, UCL surgeries as well. Especially coming from you where, you had that yourself and you're looking as healthy as can be. I wanted to ask, for this spring training, what are some things that you're working on specifically? Obviously, we talked about the pitches and whatnot, but is there anything you're working on, to get yourself geared up for 2025?
Still pushing the fastball velo a little bit. We're finding some ways, kind of center mass velo, stuff like that, more mechanical stuff, to see if we can get a take or two more. My biggest thing though is this is my first big league camp, first taste of facing hitters or big league hitters. So I'm just trying to see how my stuff plays, what counts it plays in, for a perfect example, I don't think I'll be throwing Curtis Mead a 3-1 fastball in the big leagues, or I won't be throwing Adley Rutschman a 1-2 sweeper up in the zone. It's kind of one of those. It's like I'm just trying to face the best of the best hitters right now and see what I need to work on to where, if I do make the team out of camp or if I'm back in Worcester, I know what I need to do going into 25 to impact the Red Sox as much as I can.
For sure. And you just said, this is your first big league camp. I asked you in the beginning, what are the vibes like? I wanted to ask specifically, what are the vibes like among the pitchers in camp right now? One thing, one aspect of camp for this year, a big focus is on a lot of the position players. Like I said, position battles going on. You've got some young guys like Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer that are drawing headlines. But one thing I keep mentioning over the last couple of months here is how underrated I think the pitching is in the organization. Is that something that you guys are does that give you a little bit of a chip on your shoulder where, you guys are really just gunning for it on the pitching side of things?
I think so. I've been kind of a big advocate that, especially in Baseball America and those places that, they underrate our pitching a lot. I'm a big believer that, especially on the pitching side, if you're not a big name come draft day, you're going to get kind of knocked down a little bit on the prospect wise. The org's done an amazing job of developing pitchers. We got a pipeline of arms coming up that are going to be really good. Yeah. We're going to have pitchers in AA this year that have absolutely zero business being in AA, but it's just because we have such a stockpile of guys in the big leagues and AAA that there's nowhere to put them.
Yeah, you got just a ton of guys. You go back, even when you were first drafted by the Red Sox, where it felt like pitching was a bit non-existent in the organization. There were some position players for sure, but they've really built this up over the last couple of years. Yourself. Richard Fitz is looking great. He's seeing a bit of a bump in the velo. Someone like, Guerrero could be a force in the bullpen this coming year. Sandlin, I had him on for an interview probably about a month ago. That guy's just got nasty stuff. It's pretty exciting. Yep. When it comes to for 2025, it's a pretty simple question. What are your goals here for 2025 when you really think about it?
My goals is obviously, the big one, be in Boston, help the team get to the postseason and see what kind of run we can put together. My personal goals is I do want to increase my K per 9 a little bit. I think with this new arsenal I have, that's going to naturally come. But overall, I just want to be prepared for whatever role they need me in, whether they need a long relief guy, they need spot start, or if something happens and they need a fifth starter, fourth starter for this year, I want to be available. I want to be ready to go. But other than that, just kind of continue what I had last year, stay healthy, keep eating innings, and be ready to get call up.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, you looked great last year. I would not be surprised at all if you were in Boston at some point earlier in the year. I do have to ask you, let's say that time comes. Have you thought of any potential, for you personally, dream matchups that you would love to possibly encounter at the major league level, like someone like Aaron Judge or Bryce Harper, or whoever? Is there anyone on your radar where you're like, man, I really just want to have one at bat against that guy?
I have a top three. The biggest obvious answer for me is Juan Soto. You can't be the best without beating the best. There's a reason he got paid $750 million. I want to go up head to head against him. Then I would say Josh Young, old college teammate.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Great player. And then my other one is I'm disappointed I missed out on it my last start, but it's Colton Cowser. I played with him on Team Texas growing up. Played some travel ball with him. So it'll be that'd be one of those kind of dream matchups from when we were kids. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that, especially the young one. Yeah, that's Juan Soto. It's funny that you mentioned they actually just came out with a story earlier that some teams even maybe offered more than the New York Mets, but he still went there. And the Red Sox are rumored to have maybe made a higher offer at some point. So who knows? He could have been your teammate at some point, but now maybe you get to face him down the road. But for the 2025 Red Sox, before we wrap things up here, I know we touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but overall right now, what are your thoughts, kind of just with everything with the Red Sox heading into 2025, not just as the major league team, but as an organization in general? How are you feeling there?
I think we're in a great spot to win for a long time. All the way going back to Chaim Bloom's days, run the show, and Breslow he hasn't skipped a beat. Breslow's done an awesome job really building up not only the big league team, but like you said, the organization. I think we got a lot of young guys. I think we're going to win this year. We're going to do a lot of winning in the next 10 years, and I have no doubt in my mind that Breslow will keep it going, and the Red Sox are going to be a force to deal with for a long time coming.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I've been following this team now, like I said, for as long as I can remember, and there's some good vibes going on. It's, again, not just what you see on the stat sheet, but just, how guys are looking in spring health-wise, just mentally as well. You can see there's a bit of a shift going on, and pretty exciting to see. But, hey, man, I want to thank you for coming on here today. It's always a pleasure anytime I could have someone in the Red Sox organization come on. But I just want to wish you the best of luck this coming year, and good luck for the rest of the spring, and have yourself a good season, all right?
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you later.